Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video. This video is on Matthew DUMBA, and I've seen so much talk on Matt DUMBA and still potentially a trade for him. And he's got 1 year left, $6 million cap hit. I go to Cap Friendly, and I have seen so many. When I say so many, like almost every trade proposal I've seen from fans on Armchair GM on Cap Friendly, with the Minnesota Wild, it involves Matthew DUMBA. So, could the Wild still trade DUMBA? I'm going to go over 5 teams. So this is more of like a potential destinations video, an updated one for DUMBA. I think, when I look at the Minnesota Wild, their depth chart, they're looking at their defense. I see Jonas Brodin, I see Jared Spurgeon, I see Jacob Middleton, I see Kalen Addison, I see John Merrill, I see Dmitry Kulikov, I see Goligoski. Like, I see 6 or 7 guys that could be there, and you don't need a DUMBA. So, just looking at potentials for Matthew DUMBA right now, and I saw this one on Cap Friendly, so starting with this one with the Armchair GM, the New York Islanders. And the Isles and Wild, I've talked about potential trades with them in the past, talking about whether it's Varlamov I talked about, or Kevin Fiala I talked about. But this one makes somewhat sense because you could see maybe like a Josh Bailey going the other way to match contract, and maybe the Islanders include like a Scott Mayfield. And then on the right side for the Islanders, it's not looking too bad, looking at Bullock, Dobson, and DUMBA. I also saw a rumor of the Sens going after DUMBA, and with Zaitsev going back the other way, the Sens would have to give incentives. So a prospect or two plus a draft pick, probably like a second round pick. And the Sens do have, I think, a couple second round picks from 2024 with the Caps second round pick as well. So the Sens could include a second round pick and a prospect and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Get that right shot offensive guy they've been looking for and dump the Zaitsev contract. It's possible. To throw in a few other teams, the Dallas Stars, if they don't get another guy on that right side, they could make a trade like this and convince the Minnesota Wild to take on Hudobin. Because at the end of the day, yes, they got Philip Gustafson to be their number 2. Hudobin's only got 1 year left. I feel like the Wild, considering their cap situation, like they'd be fine just holding on to that, getting assets for DUMBA now. And the Stars would have the assets, like the draft picks, prospects, stuff like that. So it's interesting. I think a couple other teams that I would probably talk about here, like the 2 other teams would be maybe a Boston and Toronto. I think in the scenario with Boston, you'd have to see like contracts like Foligno, Forberg go the other way to match cap. But it'd be interesting for Boston. I could see Boston. I've suggested in the past that they go after a DUMBA if the contracts go back the other way. And I mean, in the scenario of Nick Foligno being involved for cap reasons, Nick Foligno and Marcus Foligno would be united together in Minnesota. The one for Toronto, again, I feel like Leaf fans are always involved in this. I saw it a couple times on Cap Friendly with Kerfoot and Hall going the other way. And I mean, again, in that scenario, I feel like you try to incentivize the Wild to either retain cap or just it literally doesn't become a potential and you go for one of their depth defensemen. But I think just in terms of DUMBA, the Leafs, it doesn't make too much sense outside of only 1 year left. So for cap reasons, it gives you the flexibility after this year. And Hull and Kerfoot together equal that $6 million that DUMBA would be bringing over in terms of cap. So even if the Wild could retain like $1.5 million and you attached like prospects and a pick, like maybe. But I would say for Matt DUMBA, if there was to be a trade, I know Wild fans have been all over it, I would say you look at the Sens as number 1 because you could get good assets, honestly, from the Sens. And if you have to soak the Zaitsev contract, like if you're Minnesota, great. If you win and have playoff success or do something over this next couple of years, awesome. But the Wild have prospects coming, and they have these horrible, horrible buyout consequences, like these cap hits of Suter and Parise. So it's just like the Wild, as much as Guerin's trying to be competitive and has Fleury for these couple of years, so it's like the Wild could still be really good. But I think if they had to take on Zaitsev and got like a second round pick plus a couple decent prospects from Ottawa, and at the same time just dump the DUMBA, like they don't need DUMBA. So if they get assets and just bring in Zaitsev, like Zaitsev can be on their second or third pair, and I don't think that's the worst thing ever for a Minnesota team that I feel like has defensive options. Dallas one intrigues me because if many would be willing to take Hudobin's last year, then Minnesota would definitely get assets there. And then definitely the Boston one I've suggested, but again, more so for the storyline of the Foligno brothers being united. So give me your thoughts, guys, in the comment section. Could you see a Matthew Dumba trade? He's got 1 year left, as I said, $6 million. I think if not traded this offseason or early in the season, I could definitely see Dumba traded before the deadline if the Wild are on like the borderline of a playoff spot. But hey, especially if they retain 50% or at least 25%, though, I could see one team for like a guy like a right shot offensive guy like Dumba, who has shown at times he can be good. I wouldn't be surprised if a team before the deadline forked over a first or forked over a second and a really good prospect. So keep that in mind, guys. Subscribe, like, notification bell, do all that good stuff. I hope to see you guys on the channel more. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video or stream. Peace.